These 7 transmission problems don't tap you on the shoulder. They creep up, choke the life out of your drivetrain, and leave you bargaining with a tow truck at 11 p.m. It starts small, an extra beat before drive engages, a light shudder at 45 miles per hour, a sweet burnt smell after a hill. Then the slip gets longer. The fluid turns coffee dark. One day, the car decides neutral is its favorite gear. If you want your transmission to live a long, quiet life and not cost a vacation to replace, pay attention now because one of these problems can end a gearbox in a single afternoon of normal driving. And to see how small choices become big failures, we start with the number 1 accelerant: heat. Problem number 7, low fluid plus heat, the silent partnership that ends transmissions. Automatic gearboxes live and die by fluid. It lubricates, cools, and creates pressure. Run low and the pump cavitates, clutches starve, temperatures rocket. Every 10 degrees Celsius, approximately 20 degrees Fahrenheit, above target can cut fluid life in half. Sit in traffic on a hot day with low fluid, and you're cooking the resin that holds clutch material. Once overheated, that lining sheds, the filter clogs, pressure drops, and the spiral tightens, often before you notice. The fix is boring but bulletproof. Follow your car's exact level check procedure. Some require engine on, others off. Some need a temperature window. Top up only with the precise spic. CVT, DCT, and ATF are not interchangeable. If the dipstick smells burnt, don't add, service it. Think of this as a 5-minute habit that blocks a 4-figure failure. And if you think it was low once, no big deal, wait until you see what that little delay into drive is really saying. Problem number 6, slipping and delayed engagement, the warning you can't ignore. Press the gas, revs flare, the car hesitates, then finally moves. That isn't quirky. That's clutches glazing and seals losing grip. Each slip makes heat. Heat polishes friction surfaces. Polished surfaces slip more. A delay engaging drive or reverse means the valve body and clutch circuits are struggling to build pressure. Keep driving like that, and the worn-off material ends up in the pan, clogging the filter and starving the pump. Costs snowball. A solenoid, range sensor, or timely service might have fixed it. A rebuild will not be gentle on your wallet. If it starts slipping, stop the experiment. Scan for codes. Check line pressure if your platform allows. Sometimes a $30 sensor or $120 solenoid cures the hesitation if you act before the clutches toast themselves. But slips aren't the only feels fine until it isn't problem. The wrong fluid and bad service myths can do the same damage with a smile. Problem number 5, wrong fluid, bad advice, and lifetime fairy tales. Transmissions are picky. CVT fluid isn't ATF. Dual clutch fluid isn't CVT fluid. Universal blends promise a lot, but friction modifiers differ across hardware. Get it wrong and you invite chatter, heat, and early wear. Then there's the never change it idea. Lifetime often means lifetime of the warranty, not the car. Fluid shears, oxidizes, and loads up with clutch dust. It's a wearable part. For normal driving, 60,000 to 80,000 kilometer services keep things healthy. For towing, hills, heat, or stop-go, 40,000 to 50,000 kilometers is smarter. Skip the power flush on a sick unit. High pressure can shove debris into delicate circuits. Better, drop the pan when possible. Clean magnets, replace the filter, refill with the exact spec, and reset adaptations if your car uses them. Do this before symptoms, not after. And if you're leaning on a miracle bottle, the next problem shows why software, not snake oil, often holds the key. Problem number 4, bad shifts caused by software and sensors, not the transmission. Modern gearboxes shift based on a web of inputs: throttle position, load, airflow, temperatures, speed sensors, and brake switch status. If your throttle sensor lies, the module thinks you're barely accelerating and commands soft, late shifts that cook clutches. A flaky mass airflow sensor, vacuum leak, or misreading brake switch can trigger harsh downshifts, delayed lockup, or hunting. Add outdated calibration. Many cars get TCM updates that fix flare shifts, bang shifts, or shudder. People rebuild gearboxes that needed a reflash. Start with a proper scan, including pending codes. Check for technical bulletins. Update the TCM if a newer map exists.
Replace weak sensors first. Only judge the hardware after inputs are clean and software is current. Because when hardware truly fails, the next symptom shows up at your calmest speed. Problem number 3. Torque converter shudder. The 45 to 60 mile/hour wobble that eats clutches. Cruising at 50 mph on light throttle, the car vibrates like rumble strips, then it clears. That's lockup shudder. The converter's lockup clutch is slipping. It feels minor. It isn't. Each microslip makes heat. Heat cooks the lining and contaminates the fluid. Ignore it, and metal fines ride the fluid through the valve body, scoring bores and jamming solenoids. A correct spec fluid service plus a lockup-safe additive can buy time. If the shudder returns quickly, the converter is warned and will keep feeding debris to the unit. Replace the converter before it turns into a full rebuild. Also, stop lugging the engine in low RPM in eco modes. Downshift instead of asking the converter to do the work. But the converter isn't the only heat factory. Towing in hills can boil a healthy box in one afternoon.
Problem number 2. Overheating from towing, long grades, and undersized coolers. Transmissions hate heat. Towing, steep climbs, sand, or summer crawling can push temps far above safe limits, especially with small factory coolers and radiators. Cook the fluid and varnish forms and valves. Seals harden, clutches glaze. Symptoms often arrive weeks later as flares and bangs. Prevention wins. Install an auxiliary cooler rated for your vehicle. A good unit can drop temps 10 to 20 degrees Celsius and stretch fluid life dramatically. If you have a CVT, this matters even more. Belt and pulley systems slip by design, and hot fluid shortens belt life. Use tow haul mode when equipped to raise shift points and reduce converter slip. Don't ride the throttle at low RPM on hills. Downshift and keep the engine in its happy band. Heat builds fast and leaves slow. Manage it well and everything downstream lasts longer. Manage it badly and you may meet the fastest, most final failure on this list. Problem number 1. Leaks, cross-contamination, and the pink milkshake. A few drops on the driveway don't feel urgent until you realize that's the only polite warning seals will give. Pan gaskets, axle seals, cooler lines, and in-radiator coolers can all weep. Lose enough fluid and you know the ending. Worse, some vehicles suffer cooler failures that let coolant and ATF mix, creating a frothy strawberry look mechanics dread. That cocktail ruins friction material and bearings quickly. If your fluid turns milky or foamy, stop driving. Tow it. Fix the radiator or external cooler. Flush the system thoroughly and be honest about damage. Once friction material sheds, it doesn't grow back. Inspect lines for rust bulges, check radiator tanks for cracks, and replace aging rubber before it splits. A $30 hose today beats a $3,000 rebuild tomorrow. And if you're thinking, I'll top it up and hope, remember, contamination doesn't dilute, it multiplies. Now for the tough truth. Most catastrophic failures don't start with a bang. They start with a driver waving off breadcrumbs, a smell, a delay, a stain, a shudder. Catch the pattern early and a transmission can run 250,000 kilometers without drama. Miss it and you'll be pricing used units and learning about core charges. So what should you do starting tonight? Make heat your enemy. If you tow or live in hot, hilly traffic, shorten service intervals and add a cooler. Use the exact fluid your transmission calls for, CVT, DCT, or conventional AT, each with unique chemistry. Service the right way. Drop the pan when possible, change the filter, clean magnets, refill to spec, and reset adaptations. Scan before you spend. Many transmission issues are sensor or software problems wearing a gearbox costume. Treat shudder and slip as red zone events, countdowns, not quirks. Hunt leaks early, the pan, the lines, the radiator. If the fluid looks milky, stop and save the unit you have, not the one you'll be shopping for. A transmission rarely fails in one moment. It fails in tiny moments you ignore until those moments become a habit and the habit becomes a bill. Pay attention to these 7 problems, fix what's cheap before it becomes expensive, and your car will thank you the quiet way. By shifting so smoothly, you forget it's even there.